see why first Wendy Hendry come and speak to us, and she is a best-selling author, and I'm going to read her bio in just a minute, but I just have to say how amazing she is. I worked with her for 4 years now, and 4 years, almost so, and yes. And I have personally read her book. In fact, I got to read it before it even was hot off the press, and I was blown away. Like this is an amazing book. It helped me so much just with my own emotion, just everything mentally, and also I was able to help a lot of my clients through this. So it's a tried and true method. It's not just like this theory, we hope this works. It's very, very tried and true. So she's going to share her personal experience with us and tell us a little more. So here is Wendy's bio. Listen to this. Wendy Hendry has been in the health and fitness industry for over 15 years, as well as being a fitness instructor and owner of Sweaty Chicks Fitness. Anybody Sweaty Chick? Yeah. She has motivated people in her role as health and wellness coach and entrepreneur. Wendy's book, Weight Loss, W.A.I.T.loss, The Keys to Food and Freedom and Winning the Battle of the Binge, hit #1 on the Amazon bestseller list just hours after it launched. Her approach has helped thousands overcome emotional eating and food addictions. Wendy's passion is helping people realize they have the power to conquer any compulsive behavior. You guys believe that? She's going to show you how. Wendy received her bachelor's degree in microbiology from BYU, and along with her husband Ron, founded BioLink Corporation, an antibody recruitment company. She currently lives with her family in Lehigh, Utah. When she's not helping clients or at the gym with her husband, she is found reading Jane Austen, contemplating the amazing blessings that God has given her, and arguing politics with her children. So Wendy Hendry.
It doesn't say that I'm a slob and my poor husband, or and that I was a binge eater for 35 years, that I fart in my sleep, and I pick my nose when nobody's looking. All right. How many of you guys have heard the two voices in your head? There's one that says, eat the donut, and one that says, probably should eat some broccoli, right? How many have heard those voices? Yeah. So it's because we have multiple parts of our brain. There's actually 3 parts, but I combined 2 of them. So right here, this is the part that's called the limbic system. It's the first part of your brain to develop. So even when you're born, you already have it. It's the reptilian brain. So lizards have it, snakes have it, animals have it. And when a lizard goes to eat another lizard, it doesn't stop and think, is this lizard going to make me fat, right? It just eats the lizard, right? And that's because we all have this brain, and it's the same. It doesn't think, it doesn't reason, it just does. It's in charge of our survival. It's important. We got to have it. We'd be dead without it. But when a bear's going to chase us, it's got part of the brain that tells us to run. Then there's a middle part of the brain it's like the mammal brain. Dogs have it, mammals have it, and it has to do with feelings, with emotions. But for what we're talking about today, I'm combining those two. So we'll just call those the animal brain. And then the last part of the brain to develop is this top part, the human brain. It doesn't even fully form until you're in your 20s. So you guys have teenagers? Help me. Yeah. Can you reason with your teenagers? No. Can you use logic with your teenagers? It's because they don't have a brain. They do not have this prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is what makes us us, and we're going to talk more about that. So, all right, so I did this whole presentation, the PowerPoint, it was awesome, and then my daughter showed me how to use the animations, and I had to redo it. That's why I was sitting out there redoing my entire presentation. So check this out. Yeah. So the prefrontal cortex, it's thoughtful, logical, sensible, wise, analytical. It's what makes you you. Even if you didn't have a limbic system, you'd still be you. Well, you'd be dead, but you would have this part of your brain, okay? The limbic system, it's impulsive, it's irrational, it's manipulative, it's pleasure-seeking, it's jittery, it's anxious. And when I say it's a clone, I mean that we all have the same one. So there's no difference between your limbic system and my limbic system, really. There's no difference really between my limbic system and a rat's limbic system. And so keep that in mind, that it's the prefrontal cortex that makes you who you are. All right, so the prefrontal cortex is like the wise adult. And a lot of people call that the adult brain. If you read books by Jack Trimpey, and I'll give you some really good books to read on it, Catherine Hansen, most doctors, they call it the higher brain or the adult brain. And it's because it's wise, right? And it's thoughtful, and it's analytical, and it's logical. Well, what does the limbic system sound like? Right? It's like a kid throwing a temper tantrum. And so this is really important when you come to realize that you can separate these two brains and you can respond to your limbic system with your prefrontal cortex. They're true, you have to separate them, and we'll talk more about that. I call it in my book, I call this part, the limbic system, the brat. Jack Trimpey calls it the beast. Catherine Hansen in Brain Over Binge calls it the animal brain, I think, right? All right, so when you have a kid that's throwing, how many of you guys have kids? How many of you guys have kids that have thrown temper tantrums? Yeah, right? So when a kid throws a temper tantrum, what happens if you say no to that kid? They want it more. Yeah. What happens if you argue with that kid? Argue back. Yeah. What happens if you get frustrated and angry with the kid? Right? You just can't respond. Any kind of response you give to that kid is going to just make it worse because they're all in the limbic system. It's like a pot of boiling water. And you know, if you can keep water simmering, it just kind of stays the same, right? Once it hits the boiling point, it's over. I mean, it is what it is. And that's kind of how this limbic system or the amygdala works, is it's sort of like a pot of water. And if you can stay in your simmering, or don't let it boil over. You know, when you go to eat a bite of a cookie and then you say, screw it, I might as well eat the whole rest of the kitchen, right? It's because you're starting to boil over and you're getting into your amygdala. It's the same thing when you're trying to reason with anybody. My husband and I, we got in kind of a little tickle because he didn't like what I was wearing, and then I tried something else, how he didn't like that, and I tried something else I didn't like that. I finally just said, it's me you don't like, right? And I kind of started to get upset. I kind of started to get into that boiling point. And once you're there, you might as well not even argue with anybody, because you can't simmer it down through logic, through any kind of talking. Just step away and let it calm down, okay? So remember that when you're on a fight with your spouse. It doesn't help to try to reason, argue, even talk to somebody when they're in, have you guys read the book Listen? Has anyone read the book Listen? No, it's really good, I recommend it. He calls it an amygdala meltdown, a limbic system meltdown. Might as well just not even try to deal with anybody when they're in an amygdala meltdown. And
Who wrote that?
Pardon?
Who wrote it?
I
think it's Just Listen. Is it
Just Listen? Yeah, that's it. I don't know. I can't. It's on my phone. I can look afterwards. It's really good. But he uses it more in communication with people. But it's the same thing with our eating. When we get into our amygdala, when we go into autopilot, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. This part of our brain just kind of shuts down, and we're sort of at the mercy of this limbic system. So the key is to not let yourself go into amygdala meltdown, to not let yourself go into autopilot, in other words. How many of you guys have found that sometimes when you're eating, you're in unconscious mode, you're in autopilot, right? Yeah, that's amygdala meltdown. And so it's important that you don't allow yourself to go there. And that's what this whole mindfulness stuff is all about, that your health coaches are teaching you or that you hear about. I remember when I first heard of mindfulness or awareness, I thought, man, what is that? Like, it just sounded like some new age weird thing. And then Dr. Anderson came up with Stop, Challenge, Choose. And I was still binging at that point. And I remember I did not even comprehend the word stop or choose. When I was headed for a binge, it was like trying to stop a locomotive. Like you couldn't stop me, just couldn't. I was in amygdala meltdown. And so if you can learn to keep it on simmer or less, you're going to be in good shape. You just don't let yourself go into autopilot, and it's possible. How many of you guys have heard that eating disorders, addiction in general, that they're diseases, illnesses? How many of you guys think that they're illnesses or diseases? Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been raised to think, right? I went to OA, I've been to 12 steps, and you're told that it's a disease, that it's an illness. You know what? It's a crock of barf. It's not a disease, it's not an illness, it's a habit. And it's kind of a habit gone rogue. And I talk about that a lot in my book. It's a habit gone rogue, which means it's propelled not necessarily by a reward, but more by the urge or by the craving. But you can create new neural pathways anytime. I mean, when you move and your kids have to go to a new school and you learn to drive to a new school, you've created a new neural pathway, right? I used to, okay, here's something I don't tell very many people because it was really shameful to me. But I had trichotillomania. You guys know what that is? Where you pull your hair out. And when I was in 8th grade, it was about the time I started binging, and it was when my parents got divorced, and I had a big bald spot. And you can see I have a big bow on my hair in my 8th grade picture. And I did that clear up until I married Ron. We've been married 20 years, and I had never told anybody that I had trichotillomania. And Ron, when we got married, he noticed, and my ex-husband never even noticed it. He didn't notice that I gained 80 pounds either, so Ron noticed. And he's so, Ron's the best. Instead of telling me or shaming me, he noticed what I was doing, and he would just touch my hand. He would just come up and touch my hand. And it probably went on for 5 years, where he would just slightly touch my hand. And slowly it got to the point where every time I started to put my hand up to pull at my hair, I would wait for him to touch my hand, even if he wasn't there. And so I quit doing it. It's still kind of thin because of all the years, but it's not too bad. I don't have to wear it up in a ponytail all the time. And so anyways, years went on. I haven't pulled my hair in a long, long time. Well, as I was doing some research for my book and I was learning about habits, I learned about something called habit reversal training. And it's used a lot like when people bite their nails or with any kind of like compulsive thing like that, biting your nails or anything. You can substitute the action with a different action. So the way that a habit loop goes is it starts with a trigger. So say, for example, I'm nervous because I'm stressed about money, right? There's my trigger. And normally I would bite my nails, and then there's kind of a release of anxiety at that point, right? So they've learned that the action, the part of the nail biting, for example, you could take that out and replace it with something else. My daughter is a good example. She did this without even realizing it. She was a nail biter from the time she bit her nails when she was inside of me. Like she never not bit her nails. And all of a sudden she was like 13. She was starting to get embarrassed of her hands. And she started tapping on her tooth like that. And so every time she brought her hand up to bite her nails, she'd tap on her tooth. And it took a little while, but now she has long, beautiful nails. And that's habit reversal. And it was the same thing. I realized, looking back, that's what happened with my hair. Ron helped me create a whole new neural pathway. And you can do the same thing with any addiction. Right now, I'm helping my son who smokes because you can do this with anything, not just eating, but really with any addiction. So I'm going to go into a little bit of details about how to do that. Okay, there's our kid right there. It's a cute kid. I would take him even with the temper tantrum. All right, so what's the best thing that you can do when your kid's throwing a temper tantrum? Breathe, ignore it, right? It's, oh, eventually it goes away. If you don't, it just gets worse. And it's the same with these habits we're creating. We've been feeding these habits, like my binging. Every time my limbic system threw a temper tantrum, I would feed it. And so it just got worse. The groove, the neural pathway just got deeper and deeper. Instead, you gotta learn to just ignore it. Don't fight with it, because what happens when you fight with it, right? Don't get frustrated with it. You just sit with it. You just sit with it and ignore it. Because here is the key. Whether you feed a craving or ignore a craving, it's gonna go away. Because what you're doing is you're getting rid of like uncomfortable feeling, right? And we're gonna talk more about this in just a second. But when you have a craving or an urge, it's kind of an uncomfortable feeling, right? And so we eat or we smoke or whatever to get rid of that uncomfortable feeling. But guess what? Whether you feed it or not, the uncomfortable feeling is going to go away. So next time you have a craving or you have an urge, see if you can't just sit with it. Don't argue with it. Don't get frustrated. Just kind of embrace it. That's a little uncomfortable. I guarantee you it's only going to take days before the uncomfortable feeling doesn't show up. I have a guy I'm working with right now one-on-one. Worst binger I've ever worked with. He is in his mid-30s. He binged every day after work. He would go to 4 or 5 different restaurants, get dinner at all the different restaurants. He's about 300 and something pounds, 2 cute little kids, a great, amazing wife, this amazing business, and his doctor gave him 2 years to live. He said, if you don't stop, you have 2 years to live. He was on 9 different medications. And so we've talked about this. We've been working now for about 5 weeks. He hasn't binged for 3 weeks. It's the longest in 10 years that he hasn't binged. And he told me the other day, he went to Tucanos. He said it was his favorite restaurant, and he ordered some, whatever it was, his favorite food. And so he said he allowed himself to eat so much, because I don't necessarily think restriction is the way to treat your limbic system. So he said, I'm going to eat this much. And then he stopped, and he said, I waited for the uncomfortable feeling, and it didn't come. It was so mind-blowing for him. That was a couple weeks ago, and it hasn't shown up since. He's in Mexico right now, and he texted me yesterday from Mexico. His blood sugar's down to 92. He's off 7 of his 9 medications. He's down like 10 pounds, and all from not binging. All from not binging, because that new neural pathway is starting to take effect. I'm telling you guys, this stuff works. Addiction is not a disease. It's not an illness. It's just a habit gone rogue that you can fix. So learn to just sit with the uncomfortableness. Learn to just sit and ignore that feeling. All right, so when a kid is throwing a temper, I can't remember what this one is. I have to let a thing come in so I know what this is. Okay, so when a kid's throwing a temper tantrum, one of the things I had on the list was that the limbic system is manipulative. Your kid's manipulative. Yeah. When they're throwing their temper tantrums, before I pop all these things up, tell me some of the things that your kids say to get their way when they want something. I deserve it. Yeah. What's
You don't love me. I hate you.
Don't you love me? I hate you. Yeah, I heard that one. My 18-year-old tells me that one. What? Everyone else gets it. Yeah. Yeah. We've heard them all, right?
I'll stop if you give it to me.
I'll stop if you give it to me. Exactly. Let's see what these say. Why are you being so mean? Marcy, where are you? Marcy, help me with these. She has little kids. My kids are all older. Their manipulation is a lot more expensive. My friend's gonna do it. I'll be good, I promise. I deserve this, right? Well, what does our limbic system say when it wants something? You let me have it last time. Why are you being so mean to me? My friend's gonna do it. It's all the same stuff, right? There's all these excuses that your limbic system is gonna throw at you. You just have to listen for it. It's fascinating. It is a sneaky bastard, that limbic system. I'm telling you, if you really listen, you're gonna hear some crazy manipulative things. Like, I've been to the gym today, you've been to the gym today, so you can have that. Or how about well, you already had one, so you might as well have them all. Right? There's a ton of them. Right. So listen for them. It's fun. It's really fun. You can make it into a game. Okay, I don't remember what this one is either. Okay, so what causes a kid's temper tantrums? Here, I gave you one. What else causes a kid's tired, fatigue, bored, hangry, yeah, stressed, right? Yeah. Fatigue, illness, hormones for the teenagers, stress, right? There's a ton of them. Well, what causes our limbic system amygdala meltdowns? Overstimulation, fatigue, illness, hormones, stress, right? Anything that takes extra energy, and that's an important thing to remember, anything that takes extra energy is going to cause some issues. Like, what about women's temper tantrums, right? What about when you're pregnant? All these things require extra energy, and here's why. Oh, no, that one yet. because the brain needs glucose. The brain is fueled just like the rest of our body is. But here's the thing, the limbic system, it can never run out of fuel. What would happen if your limbic system ran out of fuel? You'd die. What if a bear came and it couldn't work? You wouldn't know what to do, right? The prefrontal cortex, on the other hand, it's disposable. You can take it or leave it. And so the body shuts this part of your brain down when it needs extra energy. So girls, when we're on our periods, our body's using extra energy. And so we're going to have cravings. We're going to want things. And that's another thing that I need to go over in my slides were out of order. First, let me give you some tips really quick. You want to recognize those two voices that you hear. You want to stop and you just want to hear them. Go sit on your couch next time you have a craving and just sit and listen and see if you can't hear what the conversation is going on there. You want to make sure you separate that lower brain, separate the breath. That's not you. That's an it. It's just an it, or generally for me, it's a man because he gets grouchy and mine's a dude. And then you want to take note of those excuses. If you can carry around a little notepad for a week and write down every excuse that you hear, I guarantee you won't be binging, you won't be emotionally eating, because it gives you that pause, it gives you that time that you need to keep the pot on simmer and to not let yourself go on to boil. Okay, I'm all out of order here and I'm not sure why. Oh, we shouldn't go there yet. All right, I think it's not on there. Let me just tell you then. So, oh gosh, can't remember. Dang it, it was so important.
It'll come back.
I turned 50 like a couple weeks ago, and it actually, my brain came out my vagina with each kid. Just a little piece with each kid. So I can't remember, but here's the key. You want to just remember, hate that. Yeah. Oh, okay, I got it. So, when a kid is throwing a temper tantrum, he's usually telling you something like that he's hungry or that he's sick or that there's something that he's telling you, right? It's the same thing with this limbic system. Think of it like an alarm clock. Put the kid away for a minute and think of your limbic system like an alarm clock. All it can do is scream at you. It can't pull you out of bed. It can't go open the fridge. It can't even pick up a fork. All it can do is yell at you. But at the same time, it's alerting you to something. So when you're having a craving or an urge, it's alerting you to something. And if you take the time to listen to the excuse and then to just sit and pause with that uncomfortable feeling, you're going to start to figure out what it's alerting you to. It could be alerting you to the fact that you're stressed, right? Or that you're tired. And what we do is we take this food and we try to stuff down these uncomfortable feelings that we have instead of taking care of what this thing is really alerting us to. So if you can just pause, then you start to get in tune with what your body really needs. Maybe you need a nap. Maybe you need to do some breathing, some stress reduction. And it's really uncomfortable at first. When I stopped binging, my emotions were kind of all over the place because I wasn't used to feeling those crazy things. If any of you guys have been like on 5 and 1, it's happened to my clients before too, where they just have total, complete breakdowns. And it's because they're so used to stuffing these uncomfortable feelings with food, they're not used to feeling that. But I guarantee you, it mellows out after a while. And so just let it happen. Just sit with the uncomfortable feeling for a little while. Just sit with it and see what happens the next time you have a craving. And carry around a notebook and take notes of all those excuses because you get a good laugh out of it, I promise. All right, so I was ending with the glucose. So the body and the brain are fueled by the same thing, right? And this front part of your brain, it runs out of glucose sometimes. Have you ever had the afternoon munchies, right? Have you ever had a problem at night where you eat a little more? It's easier to have self-control in the morning than it is in the evening, right? It's because by the end of the day, you're tired. It's like a cell phone battery. And by the middle of the day, it kind of runs out of charge. That's where meditation comes in, by the way. You can take some meditation time in the middle afternoon. You'll be surprised at how much extra willpower you have at night. But my point with this is that it's important to take care of your body. And so it all comes back around to the habits of health, right? And if you're not a Take Shape for Life client and you don't have this book, go to your coach's website and get one of Dr. Essen's books, because it all comes down to fueling your body. I do these workshops, these 8-week workshops, and the first 4 weeks of the workshop is simply learning how to take care of your body. Because if you're not fueling your body right, this part, you can't really work with it, because this is one of the first things to run out of energy. And it literally just freezes and shuts down, and you're at the mercy of this brat. And that would suck, right? To be at the mercy of your 2-year-old's little temper tantrums, it can get you in a lot of trouble. So what are the things we need to do to take care of our body? Eat every few hours. Oh, see the animations, right? They're so cool. You need to balance your carbs and your protein. You need to drink your water. Mindfulness, we've talked about that. Activity, getting in enough sleep. You take care of all of these things, and it's going to be a lot easier to take care of this thing. You'll have an advantage, basically. So it's not that it's perfect, but it does make it a lot easier. And so then you put into practice all these other things that we've been talking about. You can conquer anything. Literally conquer anything. There is nothing that you cannot do if you just put your mind to it. Okay? Do you guys have any questions or anything? I put my website there. If you have any comments, concerns, complaints, go to Amber, Chantel, or Ron. Yeah.
The author of that Just Listen book is Mark Golding.
Mark Golding, that was it. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Oh, some other good books on the subject. Brain Over Binge, of course. Catherine Hansen. I love that book. She's amazing. There's another one called, it's yellow. It talks about habit and yeah. And the willpower instinct. If you haven't read Kelly McGonigal's book, The Willpower Instinct, really good book. And then, of course, 15 Commandments of Conscious Leadership. That is great. Love it. Love all those books. You guys have any questions, comments? Nice. Done it. Great.
Grab a copy of the book, W.A.I.T. Weight Loss. Amazing book. It reinforces a lot of these things. So thank you. Was that not so helpful? Extremely. I love whether you feed a craving or ignore a craving, it goes away. Like, I knew that, but I didn't put that into words. I don't know. I just love it. I'm going to be thinking that every time. I wish I knew that this afternoon. But anyway, so you guys, on to the next Wendy. Wendy with an I. I am so honored to have worked with her for several years now. And Wendy's just one of those people that when you're around her, you just feel calm. I don't know. I just need her in my life more. I have her in my life a little bit. I just always want to be around Wendy. So she lives these things that she's going to teach you just incredibly. And I love that these two subjects are kind of coming together. We kind of arranged these two subjects because I feel like they're different enough, but alike enough where you kind of get both sides of the story. So I'll let her kind of share more, but I wanted to read a little bit more about her. So Wendy Christensen has over 21 years of experience with being a licensed social worker. Wendy graduated with her bachelor's and master's degree in social work from BYU. Wendy has worked with a wide variety of clients and situations, including the elderly with hospice and home health, a part-time ER crisis worker at UVRMC, 8 years as a social worker, and over 12 years running her own practice, which she currently operates in Kaysville, Utah. When Wendy worked for Provo School District, she oversaw 9 schools, including a young mother's high school and special needs school. She ran several grief and divorce groups. She served as a member of the HOPE Task Force, providing grief counseling and education surrounding suicide, and piloted the HOPE Squad suicide peer prevention program that runs throughout the state. She has taught over 1,000 elementary students in Provo School District as a certified instructor, the Good Touch, Bad Touch curriculum. She also is certified in helping her clients through muscle testing and energy work to accelerate healing and forgiveness. In 2008, Wendy made the decision to stay home and become a full-time mom. She has 1 daughter and twin boys that keep her very busy. She continues to run and operate her part-time counseling business, helping marriages, individuals, and families. She also became a health coach 3 years ago and loves helping others find tools to be healthy, physically, mentally, and financially. She loves being able to have the best of both worlds, helping people and raising 3 beautiful, busy children. Wendy Christian.